Hello everybody and welcome back to the XJW Kid channel. Tonight's episode is a special episode because we're going to be taking a look at the two top players in the religion, false religion, cult, whatever you want to call them, organizations, the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, also known as the Jehovah's Witnesses, and Scientology. You don't want to miss this, so stay right there. Alright, hello everybody, all the ex-JWs, all the current JWs who are watching in this episode and trying to get a view on what it's like to be outside of the organization. Is it possible to have a happy life? Is it possible to have a fulfilled life? Yes and yes. So if you're considering leaving the organization of the Jehovah's Witnesses or Scientology, there's plenty information out there that can support your decision. If you have a gut feeling that says, something isn't right here, I should leave, please listen to your gut. Please look up the information. Go on the internet. Don't be scared. Nobody's looking over your shoulder. Well, they are looking over your shoulder, but they can't do anything about it. Just take care of business, look up the facts, and leave. In honor of Leah Remini exposing the Jehovah's Witnesses, not necessarily the people, but the organization for what it really is, on November the 13th on A&E Network, I decided to do a special episode that discusses the similarities between the Jehovah's Witnesses and Scientology. I know there's a lot more similarities than what I'm going to discuss here, but these are the first ones that came to mind, so I decided to hit on these topics. Number one on the list has to be that both organizations, Scientology and Jehovah's Witnesses, the propaganda method with video propaganda and printed propaganda. The Jehovah's Witnesses have Watchtower, they have Awake, they have their old publications with Joseph Rutherford, and before that they have the publications that Charles Taze Russell put out. They have their cart literature, and let's not forget about JW Broadcasting. I mean, come on, just look at them. Now, Scientology also has a lot of literature, which all started with Dianetics by Ron L. Hubbard. And then Scientology has basically a full library. When you're in the Scientology organization, you try to reach a certain level of operating thetans. So that's abbreviated to be OTs. So you have all this reading that you have to do to reach a certain level of OT, and basically before the OTs there's other levels, and then there's just non-stop reading and buying books and trying to understand what the man is teaching, but he's not teaching, he's selling, and that is a common thing between the two. They really pump out the literature. And in 2016, Scientology introduced SMP, which is Scientology Media Productions, which is just like JW Broadcasting. What they're doing is they're taking all this propaganda and they're broadcasting it on their own television network, basically. And the members of the organizations, they feel a certain connection to it. It's a feel good. We're doing the right thing. We're part of the right organization. We're the only truth in the world. But realistically, it's just an organization sheltering you from all the real information in the world and feeding you their own. Number two is shunning. Now, shunning is actually encouraged in both the Scientology organization and the Jehovah's Witnesses. Pretty much, if you're a non-believer or if you're a non-participant in the organization, or believed to be a bad person in their eyes, which we'll talk about in the next point that I have. But what I want to stress about shunning is it ruins people's families, it ruins people's lives. It's horrible what it does to somebody's inner confidence, somebody's inner strength. You got fathers and mothers pushing away their children And I can't imagine if that ever happened. If any family member ever shunned me, I wouldn't know what to do. That would just feel like a complete rejection. And this is something that they encourage, so it can only be looked at as evil. Nobody should ever turn their back on a family member or a child or a parent or whoever, even a good friend. If somebody's been there with you through thick and thin, and then you turn your back on them and shun them and treat them like a piece of garbage, that's no good, and we don't need to treat each other like that. Number 3, they both use us against them mentality. Now, where this is clearly evident is in the Jehovah's Witnesses. They have what they call apostates. That word is thrown around so often, and it's basically states anybody who no longer believes or somebody who rejects their beliefs. That word basically strips everybody of any credibility that they might have. So whatever they say, whatever they do is wrong, it's evil, it's demonic, it's all of the above. But basically that person has no business being in your life, telling you what to do. They're just garbage, they're trash, they're evil, they're the devil, they're sent to ruin the organization. Now, Scientology has what they call SPs, a suppressive person. Same concept. A suppressive person has no credibility. So it's like, oh, hey, this guy's telling me that this organization's crooked. Oh, but they're an SP, so you can't believe what they say. Oh, yeah, I can't believe what they say because they're an apostate or an SP. So why would I listen to them? Number 4, we have Bethelites and the Sea Org. These are both higher positions that carry a certain prestige within the organizations. It's something that the members strive for. So if you're a Jehovah's Witness, they always talk about first being a ministerial servant, then a pioneer, and then the ultimate thing is if you devote your whole entire life, you can become a Bethelite. Oh man, Bethelite. Ooh, I wish. And in Scientology, it's the Sea Org. In that one, you get to dress like a Navy officer, and basically it's just something that both organizations use to get free labor. They might give you, hey, here's some clothing, here's some food, here's some room and board, but you're working and devoting your whole life to receive that in compensation. So basically, you're giving your life and you never get to have anything of your own. You're living in dorm room like situations, so you're basically like staying, like you're at the level of a college student. So you're just living in this random room, or sometimes if you can achieve a higher status like a doctor or a lawyer with them, then they'll give you your own house. But basically it's all like, here you go, this is all you get for your services, and we're gonna get all kinds of savings because you guys are putting in the work and we're getting a hell of a deal. Number 5, both organizations encourage youth to devote their lives. Both organizations begin indoctrinating the youth, the kids, the people that are born in. I was born into the Jehovah's Witnesses organization, and I can tell you that it formed, even when I was out at an early age, it still formed a certain belief in my head. It still shaped and molded me a certain way. Not all bad, because it did stray you from doing bad things, but it put a certain amount of fear, of paranoia, stuff that you just carry around with you. No child should really be introduced to something that shapes their whole view of the world at such an early age as that. Since I was a kid, I was told that Armageddon was going to happen in my lifetime, that I was going to face this flood or this fire or whatever it may be. I was always told that this end is coming and I have to be a Jehovah's Witness, or I'm going to just be dead and I won't be part of the paradise earth. This is what I grew up with. So my point here is that both organizations just really encourage and shape the mind of kids that are far too young to make their own opinion about things. And it's really just to secure the membership of a lifetime. And then your kids will grow up in their organization, and so on and so forth. It's sending out a message of indoctrination, and here's what we need your family to believe for generation after generation. Number 6, celebrity / godlike leaders. The Jehovah's Witnesses have the governing body, which is just 7 men in New York City who are self-proclaimed anointed and have the only channel that is allowed to communicate with Jesus on this earth. Yeah, I know they believe that though. Oh. Shit. Before that, we have the historical figures Charles Taze Russell and Joseph Rutherford. Now, Scientology has, of course, the founder Ron L. Hubbard, and then currently now they have David Miscavige, who kind of just took over the reins at a board meeting, and now he's running the show. But it's pretty safe to say that these people are just smart, intelligent people who know how to manipulate others and to climb the ladder and work their way to a certain position within a company. They're not godlike, so let's throw that right out the window. Let's throw that in the trash. Number 7, money and power. Both organizations are heavy hitters in the real estate business and investments, and they use their wealth to expand their control over their members and to expand their organization throughout the world. I mean, if we take a look at the money real quick, David Miscavige alone, without the whole Scientology thing attached to him, is worth a reported 50 to 70 million alone. And this is a guy who is claiming to be part of a religion, and this is what he makes, let alone all the properties being sold and all of the cost that goes into climbing the ladder in Scientology. Each one is being paid out by each individual member, so he's just receiving hand over fist money, and the organization is raking it in. The Jehovah's Witness organization, the Watchtower, is worth over $1 billion just in the New York branch. And the Watchtower, the Jehovah's Witness, among many names, I have another video about this. I'll put a link below. But under these many names that they're known for, around the world, there is 8 million or so Jehovah's Witnesses. And they have an income that is staggering annually. And yet they tell their members that they are in a deficit. They do well for themselves. They both do well for themselves. Number 8, controlling nature. Both organizations have a certain controlling nature to them, like any cult would. What they do is they tell you who you should talk to, who you should marry, who you're allowed to get information from. Basically, they control your whole life, your life's goals, and they're overseeing everything, and they want everything that you do to fit into their agenda and their plan. Not worrying about you. They're worrying about their own selves and their own investments and so on and so forth. Number 9, they both mislead you to get you to join. The Jehovah's Witnesses set up carts. You've probably seen these. You've probably, if you're a Jehovah's Witness or ex-JW, you've probably been to these carts, or even at an event, a sporting event, you've seen them out there. But what they'll do there is they'll hand out very religious, positive type pamphlets, or perhaps sometimes even Awake magazine, but they always really push this heavy Christian type message across. But what they don't tell you is that their idea of Christianity, or their idea of Christ, is nothing like what other Christians view it. Their version of Christ is actually somebody called Michael the Archangel. They're the only form of Christianity that believes this. They realize that it's different, and they really neglect to tell you that. They just want to get you to see that they can help you and basically suck you in to going and attending a meeting, and then you kind of get to find out as you go along. Now, Scientology is the same exact way in this, because they set up carts, and what they offer is a free e-meter reading. And so they're basically auditing you, really checking you for like your problems and examining you, breaking you apart, and offering a solution if you come and, read this book, join this, try this. And then all of a sudden you're sucked in this organization and you're stuck, and then you start investing your whole life and you climb your way to the top because That's what you do when you're stuck in these high control organizations. And then the kicker with Scientology is you don't even find out till you've paid hundreds of thousands to get to the top. And then they let you know that there's this crazy story about volcanoes and aliens souls that came up into you, and oh my god, it's just so complicated. Like I don't have the time to go through it all, but look it up, what Scientology actually believes. And I don't think they don't believe it, it's just something that Ron L. Hubbard made up. So shit. Number 10 is the top most serious point that I have to make here, and that's about abuse mentally and physically. Both have many court cases going on currently where people are suing them, whether it's sexual abuse, whether it's pedophilia, whether it's the mental abuse suffered through being in the organization and the pressure that they had to endure. Both have a track record of ruining people's lives, even pushing them to the point of suicide. And that's really why I do this channel. That's really why I talk about this topic, just because I was a Jehovah's Witness growing up. After I found out about the religion, I look back at it and I think, wow, this can really happen to anybody. I have family still involved with the organization, and I just realized that it's hard for millions of people around the world who get sucked into these organizations, and they have to find a way to fight through, whether it's depression, whether it's a sense of duty, a sense of guilt, basically trying to find themselves in these cults, in these organizations, and they just don't really have a sense of the real world. What they have is a world that's made up for them by somebody else, constantly painting a picture, constantly telling them this is the way it is, push these people away and do what we tell you to do. And that's why I do what I do, because I hope that this video comes across people who are considering leaving the organization, people who want to take a critical look at what the organization does, and let's just use our gut feelings, let's use our heads and facts to really decipher what's going on within these organizations and if we should be a part of them or not. And I think that everybody who does that and takes those proper steps will realize that it is not something you want to be a part of. Live your life outside of controlling organizations. Find who you really are. Surround yourself with good, supportive people, and strive forward in life and find happiness, because we all deserve it, and I hope you do. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you haven't been here before, please hit the like and subscribe button. I'm going to be coming at you with a lot more content. Usually it's more uplifting than this. I wanted to do something that was pretty serious because of the show that Leah Remini is doing on the 13th of November on A&E. Don't miss it. And you know, it's a rather serious, big deal. And I'm very thankful to Leah Remini and all the others involved with this show. It's a great thing that they're doing. I want to also thank John Cedars for participating in everything that he does, and all the other XJW community on YouTube, and the vast apostate army. Shout out. Yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I want everybody to strive forward in life. Have a great one and take care. I'll see you next time.